find evidence of dinosaurs and humans together, we have not only demolished the evolutionary model, we have verified the biblical account which says dinosaurs and humans were created on the same day. And so what I have here is a dinosaur track. I'm going to switch sides for a second here. It looks like a giant fossil chicken track. There it is there. And I'm wondering if I can get a young lady from the audience to volunteer for a dangerous mission who doesn't mind showing off her left foot for us and taking her shoe off. Any volunteers? Oh, am I going to have to pick somebody? Oh, come on. Sure, okay, come on up, all right. I'm going to switch sides again. If you want to get on this side, would you mind taking off your left shoe and placing your heel right there and your toes right there, because inside that track is what sure looks like a fossil human footprint. That's actually a pretty good fit. Move it forward just a little. It's a very good fit. Okay, thank you very much.
No problem.
Okay, give her a hand for this dangerous mission she volunteered for. This is a fossil dinosaur track with what sure appears to be a human footprint in it. The reason I asked for a girl is because you ladies have narrower heels than men do. We know that that's a woman's track. That's how we know. And it was part of a trail. Now, it was in very friable rock, so the tracks weren't all that clear, but in this case, it was part of a trail, and one of the footprints happened to step inside of a dinosaur track. The conclusions are obvious. This is not some track that was made millions of years after the dinosaur track. First of all, there's hundreds of feet of layers piled on top of it. We've removed some of those layers to get to this track. Now, some of the other tracks we have from the Paluxy may be vague at first glance, but again, it is the sequence that's key here. Now, hopefully, I don't think I'm going to be able to get the shading right. Now, if you saw a trail of these tracks in a right-left sequence, consistent stride, consistent length, walking down a beach, I don't know about you, but I'm thinking, oh, you know what? Surely this is a trail from where a dolphin beached itself, it was sick, and waddled its way across the beach. Isn't that what you would conclude? It's ridiculous, isn't it? Believe it or not, that is what one scientist suggested, to explain away these tracks among dinosaur tracks. It has clearly got the human form. It's even somewhat got toe impressions. Although they're not very distinct, the impression is still there. These are fossil human footprints among dinosaur tracks. They should not be there. This is evidence that people and dinosaurs lived together. Again, it's not just people, but also other animals that cause a problem for the evolutionary model. Cats were not supposed to have evolved until 6 million years ago. So dinosaurs were supposed to have become extinct 54 million years before people ever evolved. That's a huge time gap. Yet, among the dinosaur tracks in the Paluxy, we find fossil cat tracks. And this was from a nice kitty that stood about 6 feet tall at the shoulders. You could try and take him for a walk, but I think it would be the other way around. Nice kitty. Again, completely demolishes the concept of evolution and verifies the Bible, which says that cats and dinosaurs were created on the same day. They were both land animals. Now, some of the tracks, again, everything in the past appeared to be bigger. People were apparently no exception. This is a cast of the Burdick track. Very big footprint. Believe it or not, this is not out of line, or out of order, I should say. Well, it's out of order geologically speaking, but believe it or not, this is the same size of foot as Shaquille O'Neal. Shaquille O'Neal's got some pretty big feet. Now, some might say he's not human, but technically, yes, he is still very human, okay? But again, evidence that dinosaurs and people lived together, apparently bigger people, apparently. I'm going to show you later on. You can notice that the footprint has been cut several times. I'm going to show you photographs of those cuts later on. The reason they did that is to verify that it was a genuine track and not a carving. Now, most of the tracks I show you here were actually dug up in front of numerous people underneath undisturbed limestone. So obviously they're not a carving. unless someone somehow got in underneath the layer and did it without anybody knowing. Highly unlikely. But again, this comes from Cross Branch. Now, I personally went to Cross Branch, and while I don't mind taking the word of researchers such as Carl Baugh and Don Patton, I just prefer to research things myself and to verify them myself. So I went to Cross Branch. I have had the privilege to get to study the original Burdick track. And when I went to Cross Branch, I instantly recognized the rock. It was exact same rock, good old-fashioned Austin chalk. Don Patton examined the rock context within the track and matched it to one exact spot within Cross Branch. And I agree with them. I'll add my voice to that. I do believe this is where the Burdick track came from as well. But Cross Branch is in Cretaceous or dinosaur rock. Dinosaurs and humans apparently lived together. Completely demolishes the concept of evolution. Now, this track is my pride and joy. Again, this is a fossil footprint of a dinosaur track with a human track in it. You can see the giant chicken track. And then within it is what sure appears to be a fossil human footprint. So once again, there's the giant chicken track. I have painted this false color for the sake of cameras and large audiences, strictly so you can see it. There are only 2 copies of the cast of this track in the world. One is on display in Creation Evidence Museum in Glen Rose, Texas, and the other is right here for your perusal. So do be sure to take a real good close look at it later on, because while I've painted it false color, you can look for yourself. The impression of the human footprint inside the dinosaur track is very clear, and it's all there, complete with all 5 toes. That is a genuine fossil human footprint inside a fossil dinosaur track. Dinosaurs and people lived together. This is proof that those scriptures are true and correct, and disproof of the theory of evolution. And if it was just these, I might be a little more skeptical. However, the Paluxy River is not the only place we find fossil human footprints. This one comes from the Robledos Mountains in New Mexico. And again, while I've painted it false color, you can check it out for yourself. This is a cast of that footprint. All 5 toes are there in impression. The ball, the arch, the heel. And incidentally, humans are the only creature that make footprints like this. Has anybody ever seen the footprints of an ape? I'm curious. Or seen the feet of an ape? You have? What do they have? Fingers. They basically have 4 hands. They don't have any feet, do they? They basically have 4 hands. Even apes do not have footprints like this. Humans are unique in that regard. Now, here's the thing. This rock is from supposedly before the age of the dinosaurs. This is from Permian rock, not Cretaceous. This is sometime way before the time of the dinosaurs. Again, refuting evolution, but backing up what the scriptural account says. There's a table out front here. I forgot to mention it the other night. I'm a member of the Creation Research Society. The reason I want to emphasize it is because the CRS does incredible amounts of very, very important research, but they basically don't have much of an outreach program to the lay people. So nobody knows about them. Nobody knows about the research they do, but much of what I share with you over the past several days and the days to come comes straight from Creation Research Society. And so I'm just basically pointing them out to people, calling their attention to them. If you can ship some funds to them to help pay for research. Research, unfortunately, costs a pile of money, but they really do need funding and support. But here's what they can do for you as well. They have a newsletter sign up out there, and that's for a print newsletter. It's totally free. Just sign up with a mailing address, and they'll ship you the newsletter for free. And there's also a bunch of freebies out there. Creation Matters is a magazine that we have put out, for instance. There's also a newsletter, and there's a bunch of free ones out there. Feel free to take one. Please take one of each. They're also the publishers of CRSQ, which you'll hear me talk about a lot. CRSQ is Creation Research Society Quarterly. It is one of the few peer-reviewed creationist journals out there, and it is the oldest by a long shot. The society was started, I think it was in the 60s is when the society was started. Okay, what we've been talking about in the classes during the day has been the global flood. Now, one argument, I don't like using the word stupid, but I'm going to. One stupid argument I've heard repeated over and over and over again is that there's not enough water on Earth to flood the whole Earth. Well, really, let's examine this for a second. Here's a picture of Mars taken from one of the rovers. I think this one was Prospect. And as you can see, Mars is very, very dry. It is a desert. And here's the other one, panorama from the other rover. It is a desert. It is very dry. Lots of wind, lots of sand, no water. However, when you take a look at the planet, there's lots of water erosion. It's all over the place. Canyons, dendritic patterns, all kinds of stuff. And everyone agrees these were made by water. Lots of water. Now, here's a major one on the red planet, Valles Marineris. While it's probably a tectonic split, again, there's piles of water erosion emanating in all directions from it. Lots of water involved here. Lots of water. But when you stand back, it is a very dry desert planet. Now, let's switch to planet Earth. Planet Earth has lots of dendritic patterns formed by water. It has lots of canyons, some so big you can see them from space, such as the Grand Canyon. Huge canyons, but with one unique difference. It's got a lot of water. This is the watery planet. Now, please stand back and tell me one more time, because I like a good joke, that there's not enough water on planet Earth to flood the planet. It's a silly, silly argument. But I hear it over and over and over again, and I always make the comparison to the planet Mars, because we look at that, it's been flooded by water, the water's not there anymore, we have tons of water for a global flood. And we've been looking at the exhaustive evidence for a global flood in the classes the past couple of days here. Now, what I want to touch on tonight, and I hope I don't step on any toes, if I do, please bear with me. I do not mean this in condemnation of any way. I'm going to be blunt and matter of fact about the point, and I'm going to start off with the provocative question, can a Christian believe in evolution? And the short answer is, well, yes, of course. That doesn't have anything to do with your Christianity per se. However, it is inconsistent. I don't want to use the word hypocritical because that has different connotations, but it's borderline hypocritical to call yourself a Christian but believe in evolution. And I mean that with all due respect, because I know there are a number of Christians out there who have been fed the supposed overwhelming evidence for evolution and deep time, which does not fit into the Bible, but they figure, well, these scientists are right. If evolution is true, Christ and the apostles are either mistaken or liars. There's no getting around it. And if they're mistaken or lying about the past, why on earth should we trust them for the gospel message?